Good evening and welcome to St. Patrick's Cathedral on this week before St. Patrick's Day. And I thank you all for coming and braving everything that's been happening in our community these last several days and weeks, and coming and spending some time with us. If you don't have a program, they are located at the Fifth Avenue entrance. And you can join along and sing along and pray along with us. You know, every year this is an annual event, and it's a very happy event and meant to enliven everybody's hearts and put them in the mood for St. Patrick's Day. But tonight we think that we're going to serve this as a prayer. We're going to offer this up as a musical prayer, since the first half is almost all sacred music around St. Patrick's words and all the Irish nice music that has been composed for Irish settings and whatnot. So we're going to devote this first half to the victims of the COVID-19 epidemic and their families, those who are suffering, and to those who are serving in healthcare and those who are caring for them. So we pray for all those folks all over the world, not just here in New York City. And then Dr. Mick Maloney in the second half and his fabulous musicians are going to serve to uplift our hearts and here in our house, and also on the online community, those who are watching online, and to also remember those who were suffering from hardship in Ireland over 100 years ago. So times have changed, but we still endure some of the same hardships. But let's all pray together and uplift our hearts in music tonight. Thanks for being here. And so could you please then open your booklets, and we're going to sing the first hymn, which is Hail Glorious St. Patrick. Turn the page, please. I gave the welcome at the wrong time. I should have done it right now, but Let's sing one more hymn, and then we're going to sing our choral segment. So, Be Thou My Vision. I've already given the welcome. Monsignor Ritchie is unable to be with us this evening, but he sends his blessings and prayers to all of you. Please be seated. The first two pieces we'll sing are Jubilate Deo of Charles Wood and Purest and Highest of Charles Villiers Stanford, both who were Irish composers. The first one is based on the tune Old Hundredth. I'm sure you'll recognize it. The next piece we'll sing in English, Jesus Be in Our Hearts. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the Irish, the Celtic, but this is arranged by Carolyn Hurdle. The next piece is an Irish Blessing by Michael McCarthy, who is the music director at Washington Cathedral, National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and John Desmarais will sing the solo at the beginning. The next piece is A Gaelic Blessing by Michael John Trotta. The next one is a familiar hymn to you, The King of Love, My Shepherd Is, and this is arranged by Mac Wilberg. And then here's one of everybody's favorites, Lady of Knock. And then that'll be followed by Oh Danny Boy. Our soloist this evening for Lady of Knock is Chris O'Neill.
There were people of all ages gathered round the gable wall, poor and humble men and women, little children that you call. and our hearts are just the same, filled with joy at such a vision, as we praise your name. Golden Rose, Queen of our land, all my cares and troubles cease, as we kneel with love before you, Lady of Love, my Queen of Peace. Oh, your message was unspoken, but the truth in silence lies. So I gaze upon your vision, and the truth I try to find. Here I stand with John the teacher, and with Joseph at your side, and I see the Lamb of God on the altar glorified. Golden Rose, Queen of our land, all my cares and troubles cease, as we kneel with love before you, Lady of Love, my Queen of Peace. And the Lamb will conquer our love, and clothed in the sun will shine her light on everyone. And the Lamb will conquer our love, and clothed in the sun will shine her light on everyone. Golden Rose, Queen of our land, all my cares and troubles cease, as we kneel Golden Rose, Queen of
And our last song for this segment is I Bind Unto Myself Today, which is arranged by Marie Rubis Bauer, who is the director of music at the cathedral in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh
Before we sing the next hymn, we are a Catholic church, and one of the things that we always do in a Catholic church is take a collection. And this is always to help promote events like this, which are always wonderful and necessary, especially in times of prayer where we do need a little bit of uplifting. And so our ushers are going to walk around and take care of that now. And if you also have a booklet, make sure you sing along with us. After we sing the hymn, you go ahead and take the collection. Go ahead. After we sing the next hymn, which is Christ Be Beside Me, Dr. Mick Maloney and his group are going to come and continue uplifting all of you here in-house and those of you listening online. So we appreciate, especially those who are friends of music who come to all of our concerts and support us. I'm hoping that maybe the next one will happen. We'll have to see with all the events that are going around, are happening or not happening, rather, coming up. So I know a lot of things have been canceled, but just cross fingers. If there is another concert, we'll certainly post it online on the Cathedral Facebook page, the Music Department Facebook page, and whatnot. So check back there. And all of you stay well. So as they're taking that collection, maybe you can get ready on page 3. The next hymn we're going to sing is Christ Be Beside Me. And that's one you all know and love. Please be seated. Yes, thanks for singing. I did forget to tell you that this is foreign terminology for me, but on the pews there are QR codes. You know what those are. I really don't. But if you are not familiar with it, those are those yellow things that are in front of you on the pews, so you can check that as well. And also, if you want to become a friend of music, make sure you fill out the envelope in the middle, and then you can sign up for next year. Thank you to the Cathedral Choir. Now we're going to shift, and the Cathedral Choir is going to take a break. Michael is going to play an interlude there on the organ, and then Mick Maloney's group is going to come and sing.
Well, that was a beautiful old 17th century harp tune written by our most renowned harper, Turlough O'Carolan. And the harp, of course, is a symbol of Ireland, both north and south, a symbol of unity, a symbol of peace, a symbol of coming together, a symbol of art. And we're delighted to be the only culture in the world, the only country that has a harp on its currency, a musical instrument. It's great to be back here. Even in these troubled times. And thank you all for coming out. And thank to Jennifer Pascal and all the wonderful people of the choir that preceded us, one of the great choirs of the world. It's great to be in such distinguished company. And I mean, not just the choir, but yourselves. It's great to be here. There are 6 million people on the island of Ireland, but if you go around the world, there may be 60 million people who belong to what we call the Irish diaspora, having borrowed the term from our Jewish friends. And at this time of the year, and indeed at all times of the year, they celebrate their Irishness a lot through art, through music, through dance, through literature, through theatre. And there are an awful lot of songs of emigration that we can all relate to. With such a huge number of people all over the world, it's not surprising. We have thousands of songs of emigrating from Ireland and going mostly on a one-way trip to somewhere else. And this is one of my favorites, we love it. It's called Sailing Off to the Yankee Land. Welcome all young men, well I pray draw near now, and give ear to the words I'm going to say, that the people of Ireland is very well known, are emigrating to America. Oh yes indeed they are emigrating. This poor country they can't stand. They put their foot on board of a ship. They are sailing off to the Yankee land. Well, the night before they are due for leaving, all the neighbours in the house do throng, for to take a farewell glass and join together to sing a song. Well, they dance all night till the early morning, each one cutting all around the floor. And the mother, she comes in and weeping to see her children to the door. And the father sits inside the cabin. He sees that he is all alone. Surely his poor heart is breaking, his salt tears would melt the stone. So hurrah for the gallant sons of Erin. This poor country they can't stand. They put their foot on board of a ship. They are sailing off to the Yankee land. The other day as I went walking down the road I chanced to go, and I saw a sight approaching, and it filled me heart with woe. I saw the carriage and the coaches moving onward, forward to the train, and the handkerchiefs were waving, bidding goodbye to Granuaile. So hurrah for the gallant sons of Erin. This poor country they can't stand. They put their foot on board of a ship. They are sailing off to the Yankee land. Arrive at the New York harbor, friends assemble with good cheer, saying how's old Ireland and how's she doing and how's she coming on this year. She's the most distressed and cursed nation in this world that e'er was seen. All they are good for is process serving in that little isle yes indeed they are emigrating from the land they love so dear. Any man that isn't married, the devil the wife he'll get next year. So hurrah for the gallant gals are there. This poor country they can't stand. They put their foot on board of a ship. They are sailing off to the Yankee land.
I feel especially lucky and honored to come back year after year to this beautiful, beautiful space. It's been a sanctuary for so many years to so many people, and I'd like to sing a song called Sanctuary. And it is really a time right now to kind of look after one another, check in on our neighbors and see if they're okay, and anybody who might be vulnerable right now. I'm so happy to be here with you and to see the sense of community and, yeah, sanctuary. Here, this is home, blue-green mountains, ancestors' bones. Here the heart can heal, the wounded mind restored and made whole again. In the mold, by the ridge of the rowan tree, in the fields where I once ran wild, I close my eyes and the ghosts of our history go striding out again. Your mind's of the now. We'll tell our story. Years breaking our strength in the cold pits of misery. Boys old at 16, men worn out from much entrailed. They toil the black seams. There goes some mountain still. In the mold, by the ridge of the rowan tree, in the fields where I once ran wild, I close my eyes and the pitmen were there to see, striding out again. Here, this is home, blue-green mountain, ancestors' bones. Here the heart can heal, the wounded mind restored and made whole again.
You know, when we think of the Irish in America, and we think a lot, of course, about the Irish in America this time of the year, um, we often forget that in the 45 million or so Americans that can claim some kind of Irish ancestry, that a lot of those were not the post-famine immigrants, but they were Protestants who came from the north of Ireland in the 18th century, in the 1700s. And many of those immigrants, they came, like the immigrants later, on a one-way trip. You know, when you look at Irish migration to America, we have a lot in common with African Americans and with Jewish Americans, in that we came on a one-way trip, and very, very few of us ever went back. And the immigrants of the 18th century, many of them went down to what we call the Southern Appalachian Mountains, to the states of Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, North and South Carolina, North Georgia. And they left a musical imprint, mixing with other groups, the English, the African Americans, the Cherokees, the Germans. And out of that wonderful mixture came old-time music. And we're very delighted and honored to have a native of Chicago here with us for the first time, representing that tradition, first time in the cathedral. She's a great friend of ours. We're all great friends here, as well as being musical colleagues. This is Stephanie Coleman, and she's going to play a beautiful tune from that tradition. You can hear the echoes of Ireland in this. It's its own thing, you know, but if you listen hard enough, you'll hear echoes of the old immigrants. Then we're going to play some other tunes, Richmond and a tune called The Full Rigged Ship, which have that same imprint.
Okay. I'm going to sing a song of Scottish origin. I'll go ahead. I've skipped my cue. I've skipped my cue here, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to sing a song about a horse, and it's a Scottish song, and it's about the large plough horses, and it's about their last day working. When they go home that evening, they're not coming back out to the fields. They're going to be replaced by machinery. So everybody in the community lines up to see their last trip home. And it is called The Last Trip Home. And this should take your minds off the troublesome times that are here with us at the moment. So. Well, I've worked in fields, and from the start, the muckle horses won my heart. With big broad backs they proudly stand, the uncrowned kings of all the land. And yet for all their power and strength, they're as gentle as the summer's wind. So steady boys, walk on, your work is nearly done. No more we'll till and plough the fields, the horses' day is gone. And this will be our last trip home, so steady boys, walk on. Well, you'll hear men sing their songs of praise, the Arab stallions in array, hunters that run with the hounds and chase the fox and run him down. None of them compare, I vow, to a working pair that pull a plough. So steady boys, walk on, your work is nearly done. No more we'll till and plough the fields, the horses' day is gone. And this will be our last trip home, so steady boys, walk on. Well, of all the years I've plied my trade, and all the years I've ploughed and laid, I never thought I'd see the day when the Clydesdales' work would ever end. But progress runs its driven course, and tractors have replaced the horse. So steady boys, walk on, your work is nearly done. No more we'll till and plough the fields, the horses' day is gone. And this will be our last trip home, so steady boys, walk on. Our friends have lined the road to see us one last time. None of them would want to miss the chance to see us talk like this. They'll say they saw in years to come the muckle horses' last trip home. So steady boys, walk on, your work is nearly done. No more we'll till and plough the fields, the horses' day is gone. And this will be our last trip home, so steady boys, walk on. Your work is nearly done. No more we'll till and plough the fields, the horses' day is gone. And this will be our last trip home, so
steady boys, walk on. There are many kinds of bagpipes in the world. In fact, all over Europe, there are bagpipes. They're in Brittany, they're in Galicia, and in Asturias, which is the Celtic world, of course. They're in Greece, they're in Turkey, they're in the Balkans, they're in Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic, as it's now called. Of course, there are bagpipes in Scotland and in Wales. And the most sophisticated form of bagpipes in the world, we're pleased to say, is in Ireland, the Uilleann pipes, and recognized as such 2 years ago by UNESCO as an important part of the intangible cultural history of the world. We're very, indeed, delighted to have, and he's a surprise guest. He was supposed to be somewhere else, but the concert got cancelled, and he's here with us as he has been for the last 10 years. The pride of Yonkers himself, Mr. Jerry O'Sullivan, one of the great Uilleann pipers in our tradition, and he's going to play you a tune or two.
Thanks a million, Mick. Great to be here. Always great to be in St. Patrick's Cathedral. I'll start off with a beautiful Irish air called The Bonnie Bunch of Roses. And it's funny, I was thinking, I've never played St. Patrick's Day in here, Mick, so I think this is the night.
This is the night.
So it's a lovely, lovely old march. It's St. Patrick's Day in the morning, goes back a couple of hundred years, but yeah, it's a great tune. And Leo Rowson did a great job on it too, one of my heroes. So have a rattle at these.
The mighty Jerry O'Sullivan there on the uilleann pipes. Well, another guest we have here for the very first time in our wonderful years of celebrating St. Patrick in this wonderful venue. And she's here for the first time. She works over in Carnegie Hall, that other joint across the Manhattan. You wouldn't pay much attention to that at this time of the year now. And it's Leah Rankin, and she's about the only cello player who's part of our Irish music scene in New York. She shows up in these divey little pubs with the cello, and she elevates the mood every time and the setting by her cello playing. We thought we'd pick a tune that would show off the cello, and it's another harp composition of the great Turlough O'Carolan. It's called The Princess Royal. I'm going to sing a song that was written here in New York around the same time as this cathedral was being built. But the most famous Irish-American songwriter of all. He was born down where the Williamsburg Bridge now touches Manhattan. Wasn't there, of course, at the time. And in a little place called Corlear's Hook, which has long vanished from Manhattan. A man called Ned Harrigan. And he grew up as all the famine immigrants were streaming into New York City at a time when 1 out of every 2 people you'd meet in Manhattan was Irish-born. And he wrote great songs, and along with his cohorts David Braham and Tony Hart, he invented what we call musical theatre today. Mostly he captured the whole flavor of New York City at the time. You could almost reimagine New York in the 1870s, tenement life, from the songs he wrote and the plays he he wrote and starred in. And this is one of our favorite songs, McNally's Row Flats. And it's all about ethnic life, the kind of people, neighbors that the Irish met when they arrived here, neighbors they would never, of course, have met back in the old country. And it's such an honor to sing this song in this cathedral, which in a sense, this cathedral says in a very, very visible way, and said it at the time of its construction, all immigrants are welcome here in America. And we're a nation of immigrants. And you know, we were very unwelcome here, Irish Catholics, as you probably all know, when we arrived here after the famine. And this theatre said, it's a theatre, it's a church, it's a place of worship, it's a convening place, it's a place of community. It said, we're here to stay, and we belong here. That's why when I sing this song, this is the perfect setting for it, really. McNally's Row of Flats. Down in Bottle Alley lived Timothy McNally, a decent politician and a gentleman at that. Beloved by all the neighbours, the gossoons and the babies, that occupied the building called McNally's Row of Flats. And it's Ireland and Italy, Jerusalem and Germany, Chinese and Africans and a paradise for rats, all jumbled up together in the snow and rainy weather. They occupy the building called McNally's Row of Flats. That great conglomeration of men from every nation, the Tower of Babylonium, it couldn't equal that. A peculiar institution where the brogues without dilution rattled on together in McNally's Row of Flats. And it's Ireland and Italy, Jerusalem and Germany, Chinese and Africans and a paradise for rats, all jumbled up together in the snow and rainy weather. They constitute the tenants in McNally's Row of Flats. Bags and rags of papers, tramps and other slavers, Italian lazzaronis and lots of hungry cats, lying on the benches and dying there by inches from the open ventilation in McNally's Row of Flats. And it's Ireland and Italy, Jerusalem and Germany, Chinese and Africans and a paradise for rats, all jumbled up together in the snow and rainy weather. They constitute the tenants in McNally's Row of Flats. It never was expected that the rent would be collected. They levied on the furniture, the bedding and the slats, and it's then you'd see the rally as they battled down the alley, evicted from the building called McNally's Row of Flats. And it's Ireland and Italy, Jerusalem and Germany, Chinese and Africans and a paradise for rats, all jumbled up together in the snow and rainy weather. They constitute the tenants in McNally's Row of Flats. That is such a New York song. And we're going to finish our set of this concert with the wonderful Don Mead here, who plays another kind of organ. You've heard one of the great organs in church music in America here earlier on. Well, Don will tell you about the instrument he plays, and he'll play a tune for you, he'll tell you about it. And this is the wonderful Don Mead. He comes from California. We won't blame him for that. But he's been in New York for about maybe 170 years, nearly as long as that song. And he's part of the furniture here. We all love Don.
You're looking well too, Mick. I'm going to play an air that comes from the tradition of Irish language singing in Waterford in Munster, but was taken up by uilleann pipers and played as an instrumental piece. It's called Ban Dubh Glana, which means the brunette in the valley.
That's Mick Maloney and friends. And if you could just stay put, stay with us. We're going to sing our 2 national anthems together. Mick and friends, please stay with us. Mick, Dr. Mick. We're all going to sing the national anthems together. So the Cathedral Choir is going to come back. We'll sing the 2 national anthems of Ireland, the United States, and then we'll send you home. A quick thank you to Michael and Daniel at the organ, and to Andre and Christiana on the harp and the violin, to our Cathedral Choir, and to Mick Maloney and his great musicians, and to the staff and volunteers of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and all of you who attended this evening. I hope that we lifted your spirits for a couple of hours, helped you to pray, and to take your mind off of things. And we wish all of you a happy St. Patrick's Day. And we'll finish out by singing on page 5, A Soldier's Song, which is the national anthem of Ireland, followed by the anthem of the United States. Please stand.